I can't stand being alone.
I just been living life, feed a bankroll. How the saying go, got it flooded to my ankles. Need a raincoat, pair of boots and a dang bow.
Hi there, and welcome to the Get Cracking podcast. Knowledge about everything from everybody who have done it. We are on a mission to healthy, accelerate each one of us to happiness. And today we got another cool guest right here. Lauri, hello.
Hello. Thank you for inviting me.
You're very welcome. Right into the action. So the tradition is that the guest presents themselves in a short, concise manner. Lauri, are you ready?
I am. Yep.
Okay, floor is yours.
All right. I'll do a little introduction of myself. So, hi everyone. My name is Lauri Malinen, and I'm currently a full-time caddie at Bandon Dunes Golf Resort, which is in Bandon, Oregon. And I work as a private contractor, so I'm able to provide my caddie services to guests of the resort, as well as to any professional golfers who would like to hire me. Aside from my current position at Bandon Dunes, I've caddied at Pronghorn, which is in Bend, Oregon. Also Tethrow Golf Club, which is also in Bend, Oregon. And then lastly, Cherokee Town and Country Club, which is situated in Atlanta, Georgia. Prior to my caddying, I received my associate's degree in golf management and my bachelor's degree in business administration. So I did study in America, and I played golf there also. So during my college years, I competed on my school's golf team and placed top 3 in 6 different tournaments, with 2 of them being first place finishes. Other merits of mine in the sport include helping my junior team in Finland to win 3 national championships during a 4-year span, as well as placing 3rd in the 2016 Finnish Amateur. I've golfed competitively for 14 years and played the game for about 20. And I've held a plus handicap for about 8 years, so I'd say currently my handicap is about plus 3. My long history of playing the game and my vast knowledge of golf gives me an excellent skill set that allows me to be a great caddy, and I also strongly believe that my ability to get along with different types of people, as well as my calm and social personality, enables me to provide great service to golfers regardless of their skill level. So I've now been caddying for about 6 years and only full-time for 2, but my goal is to be able to caddy for as long as I possibly can.
Wow, look at this. He was prepared for that. Thank you very much. This is a good one. Cool. So then for everybody who is listening, we are speaking today about golf, about cutting, and about happiness and the lifestyle and all sorts of those things. Could you explain please to us who the heck is caddie? So when I first, I've met actually you and I didn't know that position even exists. I didn't know what is that. So could you please explain to the listeners who is caddie?
Yeah, that can be an unfamiliar term for some people who have grown up in Finland, and especially for those who don't play golf. Caddying is not even a job really you can do in Finland unless you caddy for a professional golfer, but there's no golf clubs here that have caddies. So, I mean, golf's been around for almost 600 years, and caddies have been a part of the game for over 400 years. And caddie, the word, initially comes from the French word caddie, which means like a cadet, and they're basically help the player out. So back in the day, the caddie would carry the clubs and keep them clean, but not really too much more than that. But nowadays, the role of a caddie has definitely changed and is more demanding. So, for example, when I work at Bandon Dunes, my caddie requirements include, of course, carrying the clubs and cleaning them, but also explaining the layout of the course, the history of the course, helping the players choose which clubs they're going to hit, calculating wind, elevation change, firmness of the greens.
You're a golf teacher and a guide, and all it's combined with kind of in yourself.
In a way, yeah. I would say I'm not a teacher in the formal way in golf, where I don't talk about technique too much or how to hit the ball, but I talk more about how we should play the game and course management, where we should hit.
The etiquette.
A little bit about that, but usually players do know the players I caddy for. I've played for usually quite a bit of time, so they know how to act on the golf course. But of course, I can give them tips on that too if they're doing something wrong, which isn't part of the sport. But I think a big part of my job also, which players really appreciate, is reading the greens. So when you get closer to the hole, you're on the putting green, and you really have to know where to aim in terms of the hole, so they can turn left and right, and I'll be like, okay, we need to aim a foot right of the hole because it's
Right.
going to curve right to left a little downhill. So
It is super interesting. So you're kind of an assistant and a coach and a knowledge person and a guide, and all within the golf game on the golf course that you're working on.
Yep. And some might say also like a psychologist,
Psychologist,
too,
right.
because a lot of the times the players might get really heated and
Right.
mad, and you need to know how to kind of diffuse the situation. And
Do people get heated during the golf course?
yeah, I mean, that's a big part of golf, and that might be one of the reasons people like it too, because the highs are really high,
Right.
but then on the downside, the lows are really low. So you can get so frustrated. Like
Golf players, do they ever have like clashes? Have you seen fights on a golf course?
I've never seen, but I've seen videos though.
Videos of people fighting there.
Yeah, I mean that could maybe happen if you accidentally hit it on some next to some other people
Right.
when you should have waited to hit your ball, and then
They get mad.
yeah, they get really mad because it can be dangerous too.
Yeah,
If you
yeah.
get hit by a golf ball, I mean that.
It's a heavy thing, so and it flies quite quickly, right?
Yeah, I mean with if you hit a driver, I mean the best players, it's like 190 miles an hour, so that's close to 300 kilometers an hour, and it's basically like a rock. So if you get
Yeah,
hit by
yeah.
one of those, I mean that's gonna leave a mark.
I wouldn't want to wouldn't want to be hit by the ball flying with the speed.
No, I mean I got hit with a ball last fall, and
Right.
that left a mark for like a month. My
Yeah.
whole arm was completely blue and
Right.
yellow.
And also, you've mentioned, okay, so this is clear, this is your profession, and you also mentioned that you play yourself, and I used to play, and I also used to coach. Would you give us some tips how to be good in golf? What's the most important?
How to be good in golf or to caddy?
Let's first in the golf. I
Okay,
think this is maybe
okay.
closer to your heart.
Sure. Well, I'd say to be good in golf, you really have to have a lot of patience because it does take a lot of time. It's a game that you won't pick up quickly, but if you want to be good, you should from the start be able to have some tips from someone who's played. So you can hold the club in the right way, which is called the grip. So you have a proper grip, and then a stance, which means you're
This is such a game changer. So for like a context, so me and Lauri, we know each other for before, and we played golf at least once. And then so Lauri was giving tips, and there was Otto, he was also giving tips. And I found it like a game changer for me.
Yep,
So
yep.
when you guys have a look from outside, how does it look like? And then you say, okay, maybe you try this and this, and I try, and it feels differently. And then you understand the mechanic about that, like, that there is a point behind all of it. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's not a natural way to move your body really. Any other game you're hitting the ball like baseball or hockey, I think it comes a little more naturally to
Yeah.
people, but there's so much body movement involved, and you need to be able to swing the club fast but still keep your body in a really balanced position.
Right.
That it's quite tough, so it just takes a lot of time. You have to be really patient and
Okay, so
keep at it.
advice number one is just ask for help from people who know the drill,
yeah.
so then they can advise. So what else? The key points to people to do to advance in golf.
I think a lot of people spend too much time on the range
Right.
when half of your shots are going to be putting.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's maybe the most boring thing to practice. I mean, it's a lot funner to go on the range and hit some drivers and hit it like 200, 300 meters forward. But practicing those little 1 meter putts is actually really valuable. And that might push your game a lot farther.
What do you think? Should people go play course as early as possible, or should they, let's say, on the range, because they also have this short-term range kind of practice holes?
Yeah.
So should they practice there, or they go better play course?
I think if you're just starting out, it's better to practice on the range for a while,
Right.
so you can at least get the ball forward. Because if you just hop on the course and you can't really even make contact with the ball, then it's not really going to do you much good.
But then, okay, so then you got the contact, the initial practice, and then after that, should you practice more, or should you just?
I think then like playing is a huge part of it,
Yeah.
and it's not always about technique or how well you can hit it. It's about playing the game. It is a game, and sometimes you can play well even if you're not striking the ball that well. You just got to be able to kind of know how you're hitting it that day, and let's say you're hitting a big curve where it's
Yeah.
going big left to right. If you know how to play the game, then you'll just start aiming a little more left and work with what you got. So that's also a big skill.
But for that you
in
need
golf.
caddie. So if I go to the course, I have no clue where it's like left or right or which stick I need to take.
Yeah, I mean it can be tough to when you're trying to keep the game moving and keep a good pace, and you might not think about all the things you need to,
Yeah.
but when a caddie's job is just to think about that,
Yeah.
it's like they can give you some good advice, level-headed advice when they don't have like all the emotions going through them,
Yeah.
because it can be hard to make emotional decisions,
Right.
you know, when you're heated
Yeah.
or super excited, your brain might not be working as well as it should be.
Also, if we think a bit backwards, so I mean, I'm opening up for the listeners because you sound super American, but you're actually a Finnish kid, so you're from Finland basically, right?
I am. I was born in Finland and went through high school and middle school.
But
and
how did it
elementary.
happen? How did you looped into being a caddie?
Well, I'd say it all started basically when I was really young, because my dad won the green card lottery, so we were able to move to America
Alright, yeah.
for 7 years. So from ages 3 to 10, I lived in America, and we got the green card, and then after that we got the citizenship.
Right.
So that's the first step for me, because then that meant I'm allowed to work in America.
Yeah.
So, but the first times caddying for me were actually in Finland when I used to play junior tournaments.
Right.
Because in golf, there's such a thing as a cut. So it might be a 3-day tournament. And after 2 days, half of the players get cut off. So only half are playing the last day. So sometimes...
So they didn't qualify.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you have to play well the first 2 days to play the final round.
Cool. Yeah.
So sometimes when me and my buddies were at tournaments, I might not have made it to the last round, but my friends did. So, I mean, we're all there, and I don't
Yeah.
want to sit in the hotel room all day. So I'd pick up their bag and
Yeah.
caddy for them. So that's pretty much how it started. But as for making money in caddying, that
Yeah.
started during college. So I was interested in trying out caddying at a golf club during summer break when we didn't have any school. So I asked my coach, like, hey, what are some places where they provide caddies? And he said, like, Bend, Oregon is one of the closest places. I was studying in Washington at the time, and it was a 4-hour drive. So I just moved to Bend, Oregon for the summer and tried out caddying and fell in love with it.
Cool. But was that so? If I imagine correctly, during the working as a cadding, it sounds like the dream job if you also make a lot of money, because you outdoor and you are hanging out with the cool people, with the golfers, so it's kind of known as a high-end sport, so probably people like wealthy people mostly play it, and then the wealthy people can afford to have a caddie, right? Because it's also it's extra service.
Yeah.
So what do you think about the lifestyle? Is that what kind of captures your attention or like why you're doing it?
I'd say so. I mean, I've always wanted to work outside, and when I think about it, almost all of my jobs have been working outside. Like, I started as a young kid, I was delivering newspapers, and then I worked for course maintenance where I was cutting the grass on a golf course. I used to paint houses on the outside. So I've always enjoyed being outside. So that's one of the big draws for me in caddying. Also, the fact that the days can be quite short. I mean, you might do 2 rounds and you're out there for 8 to 10 hours, but a lot of days you just do 1 round and it's 4-hour day. So you have a lot of free time. That's a huge draw for me. Also, the fact that it's a very low stress job and you don't have to worry about it after you get home. So when you get home, it's done with. You don't have to think about your job anymore or pretty much how you did, or you don't get frustrated usually during the day because you're not the one hitting the ball. If the player does well, it's
this
great.
Is super
but
interesting because like you're kind of there hanging out and helping them out, helping them overcome the stress, but they are stressed, not kind of you are. You're just enjoying the day.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I might give a bad advice. I notice like, oh, he should have hit that club, but at the end of the day, that happens in golf, and it's not going to ruin my day. And of course, I try to do the best job I can, but in golf, it's almost guaranteed you make mistakes. So I don't really feel ever too stressed out after work or bummed. So that's a big draw. And also for caddies, at least at golf clubs, like there's so many caddies out there that we work when we want. And if we want to take vacation or break, we can take it whenever we want. We have this little app, this scheduling app where we just mark our availability. So if we're available in the morning or the afternoon or both, we just check the boxes and they'll schedule us for work. And this summer I took a long summer vacation and I just unchecked all the boxes and I'm gone. I didn't have to tell anyone.
Cool. So it sounds like you're living a happy life and a happy lifestyle. So then the question is, are you happy?
I would say so. Right now, currently very happy with how my life is going. I get to do what I love. I get to be outside.
Right.
Also, I get to play free golf at some of the best courses in the world.
Yeah.
Because where I work is pretty well known. So at least in the golfing world, a lot of people know about Bandon Dunes. So to be able to play those courses for free is huge. And to have a lot of vacation and a low stress life with a lot of exercise and
it does sound like you're really enjoying every moment of being.
I would say so.
Yeah.
I mean, and also I think one thing that contributes to my happiness is the fact that when I'm at work, I sleep really well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when people think about caddying, they'd usually think about one caddy and one player. But what we do there is we carry 2 golf bags at the same time. So we're caddying for actually 2 players.
So 2 players, okay.
Yep. So I'll kind of have to.
Are there are they from the same group?
Yeah, they'll be.
So
in the
they know
same
each other,
group.
so they kind of playing a course together.
Yep. They're usually friends, good friends. So I'll carry both of their bags and walk with them and help both of them out. So at the end of the day, I mean, I'll be really tired, especially if we do 36 holes, which is 2 rounds. I mean, that's walking close to 20 kilometers and carrying 2 golf bags.
Yeah.
So when I get home, I mean, it's like 3 seconds in bed and I'm passed out.
It is interesting. So now we discuss all of it, and I find it a lot of parallels. I used to be a guide when I studied. It was in Lapland, in Rovaniemi mostly. So it is also kind of a job that you do outside, and also you can hang out with people. I mean, the angle is different. So I used to care a lot about the safety so that people don't go missing in the forest, right? Or they learn how to control snowmobiles and how to get in the forest, how to drive the snowmobile, how to get out, or we would search for northern lights in the nighttime. So it's really fulfilling to see people kind of being happy, and while you are outside and you are also enjoying it. So it's a nice mixture. But then in the end, so what I've understood for myself, something is kind of missing. So I started to search for something different. This is why I moved to Helsinki and I pursued kind of different things, and now I'm on the path. Is there anything that you are missing out on? So is there anything you wish to kind of be doing?
I mean, I've said this to some of my friends before. Right. If Bandon Dunes was next to Helsinki, I'd be the happiest person in the world, because when I'm out there, like, my family is here, my closest friends are here. So I'd say that's maybe what I'm missing out on most is my own social circle. Of course, I have good friends there who I play golf with, but they're not my family, and I didn't grow up with them. So I mean, of course, I have a great time there, and I'm able to have a lot of vacation where I still do spend about 5 months out of the year here in Finland. But that's maybe one of the biggest things I miss is having my family out here.
Yeah, and it's something big, and you cannot really fix it.
Yeah,
so it
is what it is.
You either change all your life and pursue a new career, or there is no other choice, so you live like that. Yeah. But I know you travel a lot, so I bet you see them frequently.
Yep. And I think no matter how good your job is or how happy you are, there's always going to be some drawbacks and things. Nothing's ever going to be perfect.
True. Cool, but I'm happy to hear that, it seems that for you on the current stage of your life, it's kind of working out and then brings you joy and happiness, and you figure this out aspect. And I think this is important. And I also see that you really enjoy this low stress atmosphere, so to say.
And one thing I wanted to say is that when you said about your guiding job, you said people are happy out there. I think one of the great parts of my job is when I'm caddying for people, these people are on vacation.
Yeah.
I mean, they're out there with their friends. They want to have a good time. They're already in that mindset. So, I mean, I feel like emotions and positivity definitely does spread. So I'm able to kind of take that in as well, because I could never imagine being a doctor where you're seeing people on their worst days and people are sad and depressed and hurting and in pain when on the other side I'm seeing people on their best days that, I mean, this is what they waited all year for. They've saved their money so they could come play Bandon Dunes.
Resonate with that 100%. But then I also know for sure that nothing is really, you know, solid all the time. There should be some underwater stones, I don't know, some creepy people kind of playing golf with you.
Yeah.
Is there anything happening like this on your job? Do you play with weirdos or some crazy stories?
I'd say luckily the bad or the players I don't get along with are very seldom and few.
Yeah.
Where I'd say like 99% of players I get along with great, but then there's some times where players just get way too mad, or they'll start blaming the caddies for their own mistakes.
Yeah.
Or they'll start yelling out racist words when they miss a putt, even though we're all there just having fun. It's like that's not necessary.
Yeah.
So there's always going to be those people who just never really grew up, and the saying age brings wisdom is not something that I've found to be true in all cases.
So sometimes not.
Yeah, some people are just childish to the end of their days, but luckily almost all people are pretty cool out there.
There was a story in Lapland. So the guide was attacked by tourists, I think Asian tourists, who have not seen their northern lights. So there was a northern light chasing tour. So they went to the forest and then they didn't see any northern lights because, I mean, it's nature. Sometimes there is, sometimes no.
Yeah.
So then the guide was attacked, and I think he needed to call the police and run around from them. It was a big story in Rovaniemi.
What? That's crazy.
Have you been attacked ever?
I can't
by
recall.
golf players.
I can't recall. No, neither have I heard any stories. I did hear one caddy being fired. He was in the bar after work, where in the bunker bar, which is a small bar we have under the resort. And
Bunker
first of all,
bar.
the caddies shouldn't be in there anymore because the resort is so popular and it's such a small bar that we can't have caddies filling up capacity. But he went in there and had a little disagreement with his player, and he slapped him in the face, and someone caught that on camera too.
Oh no!
So when the boss got to see that, his contract was pulled and he got fired. So heard about a caddy slapping a player, but not the other way around.
Cool.
I think alcohol had a little part to play in that story too.
But then also, I think the mindset. So like, you know, now we have a discussion, let's say, about your life and kind of your way of living, but then of course it is not the same for everybody. I bet, like, you know, they should be people who are doing cutting who are maybe not made for this job, or who may be doing temporary, or, you know, now they do this but they are kind of chasing something different. So maybe the guy didn't feel that good in the moment, or he just got way too drunk.
Yeah. I'd say for some people it's definitely like a perfect job, people who grew up in the game, and some people might be local from Bandon and not a lot of opportunity in that town anymore. Right. I mean, it's used to be heavily relying on the timber industry, and we look out for locals there at Bandon and try to give people opportunities to work at the resort, because it brings in a lot of money to the town. So some people out there, it might not be the best for them, but we unfortunately do have a pretty big turnover rate. I mean, a lot of the caddies who don't do a good job, they get kicked out quick. So
is there a career opportunity? So once you are caddy for some time, can you do something else? Can you be promoted? Or
I'd say promotions in the caddying world would happen mainly through maybe moving to a professional tour. But
as a professional, no, on the tour. So when there's the championship, you do the caddying during the championship. Yeah,
so you'd basically caddy for one professional golfer throughout their whole season.
Right.
So you'd go to all the tournaments with them. But then again, you'd have to have a pretty good player to make more money than we make at Bandon Dunes. So they only get a little base salary every week, and then a percentage of the winnings that the player makes. So if your player's not winning, you're not really making much money either.
No.
But if you get a good player, I mean, then caddies could make easily.
But then also tips are the big thing there, right?
Yeah.
In the US, everybody's tipping.
Yeah, my job is basically just tips. So everything I make is in cash and tips. So I don't basically work for Bandon Dunes. I have a contract with them where I can provide my services. But I don't get a salary from Bandon Dunes. I just get, my bosses are basically the players that I carry for.
So then these Bandon Dunes are like a platform, so to say. So
Yeah.
they just handle the connection of caddie and then the players.
Exactly.
So then to enable the game. Cool. Yeah. Good. Shifting gears a bit. So what do you think for the future? What do you want to, where you want to be? What do you want to do in the future more?
Well, so far I've really loved this balance between Finland and America, and
Right.
working in America and then spending my free time here in Finland. So like I said in my little self-pitch that I've now been caddying for 6 years and 2 years in full time, but I'd love to caddy for as long as I can.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's any guarantee that my body will be able to handle it for a long time. I mean, it does put a stress on your body when you're walking every day and carrying bags, but so far my joints have felt good and I've been able to do it as much as I've liked to. So I mean, I'd really enjoy it if I could just caddy for a long time. I mean, I have
about
coworkers who are 70, 80 years old and they're still doing the same thing and enjoying it. So I mean, that would be cool, but I'd be open also.
They might be so knowledgeable. So after like this many years in the game, they really
know the courses better than anyone, better than the designers.
Yeah. And also something I recently understood, that there is also a big influence of the course of like, uphill and downhill and, how it's all positioned. So it all impacts the way of you play the game and the way you choose your clubs, right?
Yep. Yeah. So for example, if the hole's 100 yards away,
right,
but there's a big hill in front of you, if you hit a 100-yard shot, you're going to come up short.
Yeah.
So you have to know, like, okay, well, this is a 10-yard uphill. The elevation change is 10 yards. So
right,
you can add 10 yards to the shot. Now you're hitting 110 yards. But then again, if there's big wind involved, then you got to calculate that too. And also the firmness of the green, how the ball is going to bounce when it hits the surface of the green. So sometimes you can fly it long and let it spin back, or if it's a really hard surface, you got to land it short and let it bounce up there. So there's at least like 3 main factors you got to take into consideration for every golf shot: elevation, wind, and then the firmness of the surface.
Yeah. And then also, I know you play some tournaments here and there. I know you play some in Finland.
Mm-hmm.
Are you interested to play more? Or how did it go at your last tournament?
My last tournament was very frustrating. And
really?
I played some of the worst golf I've played in a long time. So that was one of those.
Have you been mad?
I was definitely very, very frustrated, let's say that, and a little disappointed in myself. So I played 2 tournaments this year. One was the national championship for 25 and plus, and that went pretty well. I was 7th place out of 144 and shot one of my best rounds ever, 8 under par on the last round. So that one I was really happy about, and that left a good feeling afterwards. But this last one, our club championship, it just absolute horse beep. so I mean, that was one of those where I felt like, do I even want to play golf anymore, or even play tournaments? But I feel like all golfers can know the feeling where you don't want to play anymore. You want to quit and sell your golf clubs. But
what do you think? I don't think it's only about the golf. I think whatever you do, maybe sports or any sports business profession, there are those days when you're like, then nothing is working and it's just not going, and you're so frustrated that like, I just gonna stop. I had so many days like with all my ventures and with the podcast as well, like, some days I'm like, I just need to change everything. I don't like the concept. I should speak with different people. I should do the different studio, and like, not working.
I think that's a good test of whether it's right for you. If you wanted to throw in the towel really bad at one moment, but then you just still stick to it the next day, you're like, okay, let's give it another try. Then you're maybe onto something. Because if you want to throw in the towel and you actually do, then it's probably not your passion, and it's just not right for you. So I know the feeling will always come back for me, where I want to compete a little bit again, and also I'll play golf in general again.
What's your handicap?
Right now it's about +3.
+3.
Yeah.
And it's considered to be like really good, right?
It's really good, but then again, the professional golfers who make money on, for example, the PGA Tour, they're closer to like +6, +7,
okay.
+8. So it's still, when you're in the plus handicaps, getting a better handicap it turns extremely hard. It's not easy to cut those strokes away at that level. So for me, my ambitions are more amateur golf. I'd like to win the Finnish amateur and the Oregon amateur back in America and just become a great amateur golfer. But aspirations to become a professional are pretty much slim to none.
So
I
you're
don't
more
think,
into kind of enjoying the game and getting out of it. So.
exactly. I don't know if I'd even enjoy the game as much if I was a professional.
Yeah.
I think it would be very stressful, and then you'd always have to play even when you didn't want to. And if you don't play well, it's super frustrating, and there's just so much stress involved when how you play affects how much money you make. So I'd hate where if I don't play well, I don't get paid.
So like we already mentioned, one of my previous jobs as a guide. And my last year when I was still kind of working there, that was also kind of driving me towards the change, is that I've understood that I like being in the forest and I like being in the nature and I like driving snowmobile, for example, and watching northern lights, which is super cool. But once you do it a lot for your job, you start to feel it different. So I start to feel that I'm not enjoying that much. So I'm not enjoying it as a hobby. So then I was like, yeah, this is time to change. I need to do something different in order to keep my hobbies around. So, and then I'm happy to hear that for you it works, that you still can be a caddie and enjoy the golf as a game.
Yeah.
So you found this combination.
Yeah, I'd say because maybe it's just a little bit different, where when you're caddying, you can enjoy the walk and the social aspect and helping others. And it's still so different. It feels so different when you start carrying your own bag and you hit the shots yourself.
Yeah.
You enjoy it in such a different way to where it's like, if it's kind of like the same thing, but then again, it's totally different.
Yeah.
And for me, I just, regardless of where I am, I think I enjoy being outside, and it's so beautiful out there. We're right on the coast.
Cool.
4 of our 5 courses are on the coast, and the other one's in nature. And we have bald eagles and turkey vultures and porcupines and deer, and see some bear tracks and cougars out there. I mean,
amazing.
there's
I think
so
you
much
just
wildlife.
sold it to all the Finnish audience, because in Finland nature is a big part. So you just sold those places. Everybody will come to visit now.
Yeah, it's a special place, and it's a very rural area where not a lot of people live. So there's space for wilderness and animals and nature. So it's a pretty wild place. Also windy though. It's very windy.
Cool. Enjoying speaking to you, Lauri. We are walking towards wrapping up. Any final tips you would give to the listeners about maybe finding happiness?
I think if you're looking for ways to live a happy life, it could be beneficial to look into what your passions are and what you enjoy, and somehow try to involve those in your work. So for me, I think even if it wasn't caddying, I'd enjoy working if it was just outside. I could see myself enjoying gardening or painting houses. I like that. Just being outside and just low stress. You got to find the things that you enjoy. So for me, it's nature and low stress and a good work free time balance where I can have a lot of vacation. Of course, it helps a lot if you can make a lot of money while you're working, to where you can afford to have that time off. So I'm lucky in that sense, but I'd say those are maybe my three tips.
Cool, super good. Are you public in any social media, or if somebody'd like to check you out, so should they do it, or?
I'd say no social media for me, but if you do come to Bandon Dunes and you want a caddy, ask for Lars. That's my name I go by in America. Lauri is a little too hard, so look for Lars, ask for Lars, and I'll come carry your bag.
Okay, go to US, go to Bandon Dunes, and then ask for Lars. Okay,
Yes.
This is how they find you. Thank you very much, Lauri, for being with us, and thank you all for listening till the end. Hopefully you did. And if you have not done so, please press the subscribe button and leave us a comment and a review and let me know how did it go, what can I improve in this podcast, and who should be the next guest. Yes. Hey, thank you. Enjoy your day. Bye.
Living, I feed a bankroll, how the saying go, got it flooded to my ankles, need a raincoat,
Pair of boots and a dang bow, gotta stay flow. I might pull up in a stagecoach playing Beethoven.
whoa.